Hi, it's Tootie Tagerly, live from the West Coast, close to noon on Tuesday. And some of these lives are going to change a little bit as I count down to the launch of my book, Make Space to Lead, on November 2nd. And what I'm going to share weekly are more lessons from my learnings from the book publishing and book launching process. And I'm also going to draw a theme, a string for how it also applies towards leadership. Yeah. So one of the things that I decided as part of this process was to self-publish my book. Couple of different reasons. One, I'm pretty impatient, and so most of this conversation today is about self-publishing. It takes a much longer period of time to write, find an agent, submit book proposals, and get traditionally published with the big five or big four publishing companies. So I'm going to take that off the table and really talk in this conversation about the two, or there's multiple, but the two main options of self publishing. One is to hire what I call a full service agency or an independent hybrid boutique press versus doing it all completely yourself, assembling your own team. And the main differences between those is that if you hire a full service agency or a hybrid publishing company, you end up paying them a big sum of money, and they do what a traditional publisher would do for you. Help you write the book, provide the editor, provide the copy editing, proofreading, do the book cover design, do the interior formatting, and then help with the forms of, uploading it to Amazon, for e-publishing, and all of that for you for a sum of money. And it's great because you have people hand holding you through the process and telling you what to do. You own full rights and royalties to the book, and it's simply you pay to have people help you usher you through the process, which is different from a traditional publishing model. Um, the other option, which is the option that I ended up going, not necessarily from enough information, but more from that's the path I decided, was to completely assemble my own team. And in assembling my own team, I found a book coach to help me through the book publishing, to help me through the writing process, because I'd never been a writer before and I needed someone to guide me through the way. And I ended up parting ways with her and I'm working with a second book coach. And as part of assembling my own team, I selected my own book designer, and I wanted the same person to design the book cover as well as all the interior pages of it. I have I have a woman who is going to help me get this up onto Amazon and all the other digital places for it. I think I'll be able to talk more on that once it's actually happened. I have a developmental editor who goes through, reads, and is like, "Oh, does this all make sense structurally?" I'm going to send the manuscript of the book to a copy editor who is going to go through and check like the actual grammar and word and verbiage, and then finally there'll be a proofreader before all of this goes up. And I'm actually diving down the rabbit hole and finding there's a lot more other specialties of people who can help you, which I'm not actually doing. So, for example, if you read books, often there's an index at the end which says, oh, if you're looking for parts of the book that talks about a self-critic or parts that talks about how to negotiate, this is on page so and so and so and so. And apparently there are full professional indexers who do all of this. So the parallel I also want to draw between hire a full service agency versus assemble your own team is you also do that for all situations of life, not just getting a book out. And many times I've worked in corporate and we've had the decision, oh, for this particular project, am I going to hire a creative agency or a brand agency or a marketing place to do this full thing for me? Or am I going to go in and assemble my own team, get this person and this person and this person to kind of figure it out and make this happen? So I see the parallels between both parts of the world and wanted to share three things to think about when you're trying to make that decision. The first one is considering time and money. You know, typically when you're in a corporation and you're trying to decide if you want to, hire a full service agency to do something for you, it'll probably cost more, but it may take less time because in theory they're experts. They're going to tell you what the normal time is, what the standard time is, and how to get it done. However, um, well, so the two things to decide on first is what's your time frame? Are you set on a particular time frame, and how much money are you willing to spend on it? For me, for book publishing, I was and am very, very impatient. I wanted things to be done on my schedule. I tend to work on a very fast, perhaps Silicon Valley-like schedule based on the years and years of experience of getting things out fast. And so I had eliminated traditional publishing because that might take 3 years or so. And then I also wanted to do it all myself because I wanted it out in the fastest amount of time. I started writing the first pieces of writing that didn't even make sense in February, and I just sent a manuscript off to someone, a friend, to read it end to end. So that's February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. So that's about an 8-month process, which to me seemed very, very long, but from everyone that I've talked to in publishing is an extremely short period of time to write a business book. So for me, for the interest of time, I assembled my own team because I could get them to work, not in a waterfall method, but in parallel very quickly together. And money, this was something that I really wanted to do to get the book out and get the message out. So I was willing to assemble my own bits of team. If I were to do it again, I might have gone with a hybrid publishing house because I think in the end, it was about the same amount of money versus self-publishing, and it might have been easier to have someone guide me through the way instead of finding my own way. Which actually takes me to the second point. How DIY are you? I am a bit of a rebel, and I have very, very high quality standards for some things, and I simply wasn't willing to let go and cede control to someone else selecting this particular book cover, this particular style, this particular timeline. There were other things where I was completely willing to cede control and listen to an expert, and I sought out the experts around, hey, this is how you structure a book. This is how you write well. This is when you use first person versus third person for certain parts of the narrative. So for me, if we're thinking about, hiring a full service agency who tells you what to do versus assembling your own team, there was a part of me that was really DIY. I wanted it done in a particular way, in a particular system. So that's why I went with assembling your own team. And I think this lesson also carries over to if you're in corporate and let's say you want to work on building your own personal brand. If you are, say, the CEO of a company, you can really hire a PR agency, a communications people, maybe someone to ghostwrite articles for you, maybe someone to help produce a podcast or something for you, really to show your personal brand related to and outside of the company. In one way, there are plenty of people you can hire to do this for you. But in other ways, if you want to do parts of it yourself, maybe you start with one little piece and one little piece and one little piece and, start with one little experiment first. So the second thing to think about is how DIY are you? For me, I cared so much about particular areas of the book, and that those are areas that once I've gone through it, I can now let go. But I needed to work with experts in all the different areas, and I needed my sense of how to find the experts. So, very particular individual choice. And then finally, when you're making this decision, if you want to go full service agency versus assemble your own teams, what do you value the most? You know, are you willing to put that time into it? Is this your top priority and the thing that you must do above all else, or is it a side hustle or a side gig? If developing your own personal brand is a side hustle, side gig because you got a day job, maybe it's easier to hire someone to help you through it. If I were writing a book and I had a full-time, um, job in corporate, I would 100% recommending going with a hybrid publishing house, a full service agency to walk you through that. Um, for me, I cared I don't wanna say quality is the right word, but I cared about that level of creative direction and project management and nitpicky, nit-gritty level of attention to detail to all the things. So that's why it was assemble my own team for me. And also, a large part of this year for me, 2021, was about anchoring a lot of the activities of my year around writing, making space to lead and getting it out, both as a process of self exploration as well as a process of releasing it into the world. So, because that was my one top priority, I was able to assemble my own team and do that. So this is a little bit rambly, not like my usual lives. Well, maybe it is, I don't know. But I really wanted to unfold and open up the process of getting a book to market. And for me, Make Space to Lead comes out on November 2nd. And I wanted to share my thought process for why I went with a full service agency, which is a hybrid publishing house, versus, sorry, undo. This is live. Why I went with assembling my own team, this DIY method, rather than hiring a full service agency or a hybrid publishing house. If anyone's curious, happy to answer more questions, and I'll see you here again next week. Thanks and bye.